And to be quite honest with you, I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted with Sue Bird.
Sue Bird has come full circle in her comments on Caitlin Clark, addressing the recent viewership decline and dwindling interest in the WNBA.
This is what we want. Instead, we're still getting bullshit on viewership numbers.
Tensions flared between the two, and Stephen A. wasn't about to sit back and let Caitlin Clark face criticism. He's had her back all season, and that wasn't going to change.
ESPN. So because I work at my day job on ESPN, I'm supposed to ignore the facts?
Sue Bird wasn't pleased with Stephen A., pointing out the reality that viewership numbers are down and that there's a lack of interest in watching the WNBA finals. Those are the hard facts.
I've seen Stephen A. Smith talk about it. I've seen Shannon Sharp talk about it. And that's what I just don't understand is they work for ESPN. So why are you hating on a product that ESPN
that they invest in?
Yeah, that's where these viewership numbers are coming. Yeah, it's a business you're in. It's not that they can't. And by the way, it's not that they can't be critical of certain things. They can have their opinions. But that's where I don't understand the framing.
Even though Stephen A. works for ESPN, he still gives his honest take on the situation. Caitlin Clark is a massive draw, and without her, the WNBA has struggled to keep the same numbers. Sue Bird believes that crowds are still attending games and arenas are full, but ticket prices have dropped significantly, which is why fans are still showing up.
To see tickets at the Target Center in Minnesota selling for as low as $10.
$10 for a ticket to a WNBA playoff game? That's unbelievable. But let's be honest. If Caitlin Clark were still in the mix, do we really think those tickets would be selling for such a low price? Absolutely not.
Starts to talk about the attendance and says, basically that Caitlin had the highest attendance in the playoffs, which Caitlin Clark played her first 2 rounds in Connecticut, which only holds roughly 10,000, and they got swept, so they never made it back to Cambridge in Indiana to play a home game. So they absolutely did not have the highest attendance.
Sue Bird, a WNBA legend and one of the most respected figures in women's basketball, has recently found herself at the center of an unexpected and heated controversy. It all began when Bird reportedly pointed fingers at Caitlin,
attributing the significant drop in WNBA playoff ratings and falling ticket sales to Clark's absence from the league. This assertion has taken many by surprise. Given that Clark has been widely celebrated for her remarkable ability to elevate the sport's visibility and attract a diverse fan base, Bird's remarks come at a time when the WNBA is struggling to maintain viewer interest, making her comments even more contentious. While Bird has long championed the league's growth and resilience, her decision to single out Clark raises questions about the narrative surrounding individual player impacts versus the collective strength of the league. Many supporters of Clark argue that her presence has consistently generated excitement and engagement, thus contradicting Bird's claim. This debate highlights the complex dynamics within the WNBA, as both Bird and Clark symbolize different facets of the ongoing evolution of women's basketball. As the discussion unfolds, it underscores the critical need for the league to navigate its identity and future, especially in the absence of standout stars like Clark.
There is a Caitlin Clark effect on all of basketball, and especially on women's basketball ratings. Kudos to her. She has elevated an entire sport in viewership.
UE Bird, a staunch advocate for the advancement and resilience of the WNBA, expressed her belief that recent comments from Stephen A. Smith painted the league in an unjustly negative light. Bird felt that such remarks undermined the collective achievements of the players and the overall development of the league throughout the years. She was quick to defend the WNBA's reputation, emphasizing that it has the potential to thrive independently of any single player's influence. Bird's frustration extended beyond just Smith. She also took issue with Shannon Sharp, who echoed the sentiment that Caitlin Clark's impact had been monumental for women's basketball. While both Smith and Sharp praised Clark for contributing significantly to the surge in viewership and interest in the sport, Bird believed that this emphasis on Clark risked overshadowing the WNBA's broader initiatives. As a longtime champion of women's basketball, Bird firmly maintained that the league's growth should not be solely linked to one individual. Instead, she argued that the WNBA's success lies in the strength of its collective efforts and the contributions of all its players, rather than reliance on the stardom of a single athlete.
With Stephen A. and with Shannon, there's an aspect of them like defending their stances on her. Like, we were right about Caitlyn and this is our defense. And I still think there's something twisted there because nobody ever said that Caitlyn wasn't going to be a marketing gem, a unicorn.
However, the undeniable reality is that Caitlin Clark's exceptional performances in college basketball drew an extraordinary level of attention, creating high expectations for her impact in the WNBA. Many fans and analysts anticipated that the momentum Clark built would naturally transition into the WNBA playoffs. Yet, with her absence, the league confronted a significant dilemma: how to sustain the excitement and fan engagement that she had consistently generated. The WNBA found itself in a challenging position, grappling with the urgent need to fill the void left by Clark's departure. As interest waned, the league was forced to explore new strategies to maintain the same level of enthusiasm that Clark had brought to the sport. This situation highlighted the precarious nature of the league's reliance on star players to drive fan engagement and underscored the critical need for the WNBA to cultivate a broader appeal beyond individual athletes.
But if you guys take a look at the stands, all the seats, even the courtside seats, are empty.
To combat the declining interest, the WNBA implemented a strategy of lowering ticket prices for playoff games. Fans quickly observed that in the absence of Caitlin Clark, ticket prices had significantly decreased. This move seemed to indicate that the league was actively trying to fill seats. On the surface, it appeared that the WNBA was successfully drawing crowds and maintaining robust attendance figures. However, the reality was much more nuanced. The decision to cut ticket prices was a calculated effort to prevent the embarrassment of having empty arenas during crucial matchups. While this tactic created an illusion of high demand, it didn't truly represent the actual level of fan engagement. By reducing prices, the league was able to keep the stadiums looking full. But this approach only masked the deeper issue. Without Clark's magnetic presence, the overall enthusiasm and excitement surrounding the games were noticeably diminished.
We've been to the Liberty Games. They're full. It looks full in Vegas. It looks full every single place that you go. TD Garden sold out when Caitlyn wasn't playing there for a regular season.
Had the WNBA maintained ticket prices at the same level seen during Caitlin Clark's standout season, it's quite possible that arenas would have experienced far lower attendance. By opting to lower prices, the league was able to fill seats and project an image of strong crowds. However, this strategy was only a temporary fix. The data tells a different tale. Without the excitement and energy that Clark consistently brought to the league, the WNBA has faced challenges in sustaining fan interest. Sue Bird's initial support of Clark's influence on the sport makes her recent comments all the more striking. When Clark first emerged, Bird was among the first to recognize her extraordinary potential to transform women's basketball. This shift in Bird's stance indicates that her focus may now lie more in safeguarding the league's long-term reputation, rather than solely celebrating the impact of a single star player.
Nonsense about things that Caitlyn was doing wrong when, in my personal opinion, she was doing nothing but going out there and playing great basketball every night and ignoring the hate that was coming to her from all sides, not only from fans.
What has become increasingly evident is that Caitlin Clark's knack for attracting significant attention to women's basketball has positioned her as both a hero and, in some circles, a target. This phenomenon is not uncommon in the world of sports. Athletes who experience a meteoric rise often face criticism not only from rivals, but also from certain figures within their own industry. For every fan who revels in Clark's remarkable success, there are those who perceive her prominence as a threat to the traditional landscape of the sport. Cheryl Swoops, another WNBA legend, has shared her own mixed feelings regarding Clark's impact. While acknowledging the excitement Clark brings to the game, Swoops has also hinted at concerns about how this newfound spotlight may shift the focus away from the collective efforts of the league and its long-standing stars. This duality highlights the complex relationship between rising stars and the established norms of the sport.
Will Caitlin Clark come into the WNBA and do what she's doing right now? Immediately? Absolutely not.
Without players like Caitlin Clark, The WNBA struggles to retain the same level of excitement and interest that she generated among not only hardcore basketball fans, but also casual viewers. Clark's ability to capture a broader audience has been a crucial element in the league's efforts to expand its reach. However, with her absence from the spotlight, the WNBA has found it increasingly difficult to sustain that same level of fan engagement and enthusiasm. The reality is that without a player of Clark's magnetic appeal, the league is faced with a much steeper uphill battle in maintaining widespread interest. Despite making significant strides in recent years, growing its fan base and increasing visibility, the WNBA still encounters substantial hurdles in attracting consistent support. Caitlin Clark represented a rare phenomenon in the world of sports, an athlete whose unique talent and vibrant personality transcended the boundaries of women's basketball, drawing in viewers who might not typically follow the league.
It made people stick around and want to watch the others. A rising tide lifts all boats, which is what we were saying, both Shannon Sharpe and myself, when we addressed that issue. Why would you say a quote like that? We work for ESPN, so I'm supposed to turn a blind eye and a deaf ear to the facts? That ain't what we do.
Caitlin Clark's ability to captivate casual fans sparked a surge of interest that the WNBA has struggled to replicate in her absence. Now, the league finds itself grappling with how to maintain that momentum while navigating the challenges of sustaining the excitement Clark generated and filling the significant gap left by her star power. Despite this growing pressure, Caitlin Clark remains focused on her game, consistently performing at an elite level even amid the swirling noise and scrutiny. As her star continues to rise, it's becoming increasingly difficult to ignore the expanding number of detractors. Motivations for this backlash vary, ranging from jealousy to insecurity, as some individuals inevitably push back against an athlete who seems to have it all: a meteoric rise, widespread adoration, and undeniable talent.
You're going to see WNBA playoff viewership down now that Caitlin is out. And is that somewhat factually accurate? Yes. It's not accurate. Viewership numbers with Caitlin Clark are astronomical. She is a big draw.
Yeah.
She brings in all the things. We know this. We've said that.
Despite the overwhelmingly positive impact Caitlin Clark has had on women's basketball, she has had to contend with her fair share of critics and detractors. These individuals often seem more focused on undermining her success than on acknowledging the excitement and attention she has brought to the sport. Nevertheless, Clark has managed to remain centered on her performance, navigating the pressure and criticism with remarkable grace as she continues to elevate both her game and the sport overall. What is particularly frustrating about this situation is that the criticism directed at Caitlin Clark doesn't seem to stem from anything she has done wrong. In fact, her remarkable popularity has ushered in a wave of new viewers, helping to elevate the entire WNBA in the process. Clark's stellar performances and magnetic personality have not only attracted fresh fans, but also ignited important conversations about the future of women's basketball. Yet, instead of receiving universal acclaim for her achievements, Clark has faced skepticism and, in some cases, outright hostility from certain factions. This backlash appears unjustified, as Clark has consistently excelled and promoted the game, shining a spotlight that the league has long sought.
And to imply that we should just ignore the impact that Caitlin Clark had on this team, this league, this sport, it doesn't work that way.
The trend of undermining successful female athletes is far from new, but it's particularly disheartening in the realm of women's basketball, a sport still fighting for mainstream recognition and respect. Caitlin Clark possesses a potential to be a transformative figure in the game, akin to how Michael Jordan and LeBron James revolutionized the NBA. Her ability to attract fans and elevate the sport to unprecedented heights is undeniable. However, instead of uniting around her and harnessing the momentum she generates, some individuals within the WNBA seem hesitant to fully embrace what Clark embodies. This reluctance to support her rise speaks to deeper insecurities within the sport, where remarkable success is sometimes met with skepticism rather than celebration. In an environment that should be nurturing and empowering, The hesitation to acknowledge Clark's contributions raises questions about the sport's commitment to growth and inclusivity, rather than rallying behind one of their own. Some within the league risk stifling the very excitement that could propel women's basketball into the mainstream.
Caitlin Clark needs to fight back. You know what would happen if she fought back in a real way? Caitlin Clark is not a punk, but she's also smart enough to know it would lead to a collapse of the league.
For Sue Bird, the tension is palpable. On one hand, she has always championed the WNBA's success, advocating for the league to flourish, whether or not Caitlin Clark is in the spotlight. Bird understands that for the WNBA to achieve long-term sustainability, it must be viewed as a robust and dynamic entity, not solely relying on the presence of a singular star player. However, it's hard to overlook the fact that a significant portion of the league's recent achievements can be attributed to Clark's remarkable ability to draw in viewers and create excitement. Bird's public frustration with commentators like Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp likely stems from her commitment to safeguarding the WNBA's image, ensuring it doesn't come across as overly dependent on Clark's star power. This delicate balance between celebrating individual talent and promoting the collective strength of the league highlights the challenges faced by those at the forefront of women's basketball as they navigate the complexities of recognition and growth.
Regardless of whatever noise has been out there. So when you show that you're able to perform in the face of adversity, to me, that is the true testament to greatness.
The reality is that without Caitlin Clark, the WNBA is currently facing significant challenges in maintaining its presence in the competitive sports landscape. The league's choice to lower ticket prices during playoff games is a clear indication that they recognize this issue, even if they aren't openly acknowledging it. By slashing prices, they've managed to keep arenas filled, but it's evident that this approach is merely a short-term fix rather than a sustainable solution. While the WNBA continues to promote the narrative that it can thrive without depending on Clark's star power, the data tells a different story. Attendance and engagement levels reflect a stark contrast to the excitement generated during her tenure, underscoring the league's struggle to attract the same level of interest from fans. As the WNBA navigates these turbulent waters, it becomes increasingly apparent that the absence of a player like Clark has left a noticeable void that will take more than just price reductions to fill.
All I know, when they got eliminated from the playoffs, the attendance dropped, the ratings dropped. If the WNBA is more, it is, and I get it. Why aren't people watching?
Asterisk attendance and viewership have significantly declined in the wake of Caitlin Clark's absence, highlighting her critical role in the league's success. The challenge for the WNBA moving forward will be how to sustain fan interest and generate similar excitement in Clark's absence. Without players of her caliber, the league must explore innovative strategies to keep fans engaged and ensure the sport remains relevant. Voices like Cheryl Swoops and potentially Sue Bird have expressed concerns about the overwhelming attention Clark receives, despite the fact that her meteoric rise has only served to elevate the league as a whole. Instead of celebrating Clark's success and her ability to attract new fans to women's basketball, some figures within the sport seem to feel threatened by her stardom, questioning whether one player should dominate the spotlight. This situation highlights a broader tension in the league, as it grapples with balancing individual achievements with the collective growth of women's basketball.
You had people fighting tooth and nail the entire season, not wanting it to be this way because other people weren't getting flowers, or she was getting too much attention, or she gets a special whistle, or I'm gonna check her off the ball here just because.
At the end of the day, Caitlin Clark is a tremendous asset to the WNBA, contributing positively in numerous ways. Her remarkable performances have drawn in new fans, significantly boosted viewership, and created an unprecedented level of excitement around women's basketball. Clark's impact is not just a fleeting moment. She has revitalized interest in the league, showcasing the talent and potential of female athletes. The attention she generates is a powerful force that the WNBA can leverage to further its growth and visibility, proving that her presence is vital for the league's ongoing success.
played Caitlin Clark, like what was your adjustment to her? Because that's really like on some Steph Curry type of adjustment.
No, Caitlin is tough. She's good as advertised. I mean, in the WNBA, like they saying she's struggling and stuff like that, right? She had 20 points in her debut, 10 turnovers, but like, I mean, if you have 20 points in your debut and that's 20, a bad game, then like...
That's considered a bad game. That's heavy, bro.
What does a good game look like? You know what I'm saying? So playing against Caitlin Clark, like, she's really that dude.
I feel like the pressure on her is on some LeBron drafted into the NBA type of pressure. Like
the pressure is definitely
different.
Is
there. Like even if she do one wrong thing, the clips is gonna be rolling.
As time progresses, it's my hope that more people will recognize the immense contributions Caitlin Clark has made to the WNBA. The league's recent challenges in her absence should serve as a wake-up call for anyone who underestimated her influence. Without Clark, the WNBA lacks the same level of excitement, energy, and viewership, highlighting the need for serious introspection within the sport. It's time for everyone, from fans to players to commentators, to fully acknowledge how vital she is to the future of women's basketball. Clark's presence isn't just impactful, it's essential for the league's ongoing growth and success. If you've made it this far and are enjoying the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications. We know watching this video takes some of your time, and we truly appreciate you sticking with us. Your support helps us bring you more great content,